Okay guys, so today is workout number 3 with our tubing, and it's all about legs today. So legs are including your quads, which are the top front of your legs, your calves, your hamstrings, which is the back of your legs, and your butt. And a lot of this is also going to work your lower back and your pelvis as far as stability wise goes. So legs, a lot of times, believe it or not, are fairly overlooked. We work them out, but we don't work them out enough. And again, these are the bigger muscle groups within your body, especially your glutes. They help burn an incredible amount of calories. So losing weight through burning body fat, you want to use these bigger muscles and really get them strong and toned. And the other thing great about this is that especially when it comes to your glutes help stabilize your pelvis and your lower back. So a lot of times we can alleviate hip pain, pelvic pain, and low back pain by not only getting the inner core muscle strong, but also integrating the glutes and the stabilizers of the lumbopelvic hip girdle, which the glutes are part of, to be a part of that, get them really strong and stable. All right, so I'm going to step back, so I'm going to get a lot smaller in frame, but you'll see what we're going to go through. And I'm just going to give you some really basic exercises. There's a lot of variation you can do in here, but these basics are really the ones you want to do. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is squats. So squats, as far as form, keeping really good form with your squats, you can either be roughly shoulder width apart, or you can open them up wider than shoulder width. And then usually what we'll do is we'll turn our toes out a little bit to about 30 degrees. So we're getting into what we call a sumo squat or a sumo stance. The good thing about a sumo stance is when you're opening the legs up and you're actually turning them out, it activates the glute medius even more. And the glute medius is one of your major, what we call external rotators. So to externally rotate the leg and to what we call abduct the leg, abduction and external rotation, when we combine those together, we really feel it in the glute medius. You can actually, if you put your hand on your butt, it's your butt, you should be, put your hand on your butt, it's your butt, right? Put your hand on your butt, lift your leg out and rotate it, and you'll feel your glute really engage nice and tight. So it's another way of getting really good activation there. So you should break up those stances. You should do that shoulder width stance, and you should also do that sumo stance. And what we're going with, I'm just using a medium heavy band, this orange band. And so what we can do is there's a couple different ways to do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my feet right in the center. So I'm making sure that the handles are equal. I got my feet right next to one another, yeah? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step out. So I'm going to add more tension by stepping out. So automatically, by stepping out, I'm working those abductor glute medius muscles, yeah? And then I'm only about shoulder width apart now in my heels with my toes fairly straight. And now what I'm going to do is going to add more tension by curling this and bringing it up. So if I hold it like this is just like if we held a barbell behind our back. All right? So from here, chest up, stomach in, and I'm going to squat down to whatever I'm comfortable with. I keep my upper body as tall as possible without bending over too much. Notice that my knees are lining right up with my second toe. They're not buckling. You got to keep them out. And then you stand back up, big squeeze in your butt. Down to whatever you can do comfortably, all the way back up, squeezing your butt. Down, knees out with the toes, all the way back up. So I'm going to kind of wobble myself around here like a weeble so you can see sideways. And here I am. Again, look at the angle of my back. I'm keeping it as vertical as possible. I'm not bending over. We don't want to bend over for these. We want to stay as vertical as possible. So I'm keeping my chest up, squatting down, coming up, keeping all the weight in my heels. I don't want to lift my heels off the ground. So that's that standard squat. And then what we can do is you can open up, turn those feet out. Now you're into that sumo stance. This will actually usually let you go down a little lower. Remember, the toes still have to line up, or excuse me, the knees have to line up with the second toe. squatting down. Notice I can get deeper now. Notice my knees are nice and wide, they're not buckling in. So you got to get them out with that second toe. Keep your chest up, standing up. So now I feel an even deeper contraction in my glutes, and especially in that little pocket, which is that glute medius. Okay? Now, bringing that down and stepping out of it. So that's your basic squat. There's a couple different variations you can do. I'm just going to go with a lighter band just to show you this. Same idea. Find the middle by keeping the handles together. Step in the middle. Whoops. Then you can open yourself up a little bit. And now I'm going to do what's called a front squat. It's still a squat, but what this does is if you had a barbell, instead of holding it back behind you, you would bring it in front of you and cross your arms so the bar is in front now of your neck instead of behind. So you can still do these with the bands. Now notice the bands are on my arms, so it's not really comfortable, but it's not like creating pain. Yeah? And what this is going to do is this forces me to keep my back straighter. So when I go down, I actually have to keep my back even straighter because this forces me, I'm going to wobble over or weeble over here. It's going to force me, by keeping my elbows up, it's going to force me to have even more of a vertical spine. So it's really good to focus on that vertical spine. And chances are you're not going to be able to do as much tension or as much weight with a front squat as you would a back squat. They're both important to do. So I'm saying I'm giving you variety. Yeah? Okay. So let's move on from our squats now into deadlifts. So the difference, basically, the difference between a deadlift and a squat is really where your center of gravity is and how much forward lean you're using with your upper back. So with a deadlift, I'll get the band in a minute, but with a deadlift, you can still use the same spacing. You can go roughly hip width apart, shoulder width apart, or you can go out into a sumo stance. So I'm just going to do a hip width stance for now. So the difference between a squat, let's say a squat is here, notice the angle of my back. A deadlift will be, usually you're holding the weight down here. The deadlift, you're actually going to bend forward more until your arms are parallel and your hands clear the front of your knees. So automatically I'm already bent over more than my squat. So if this is my deadlift, that's my squat. Just that little extra bit of extension brings the weight back. By leaning over more, we're working more of the glutes and the lower back. You're still working hamstrings, you're still working some quads. And then you bring it down to about mid-calf, and then you stand back up with it. Yeah, so this is going to hit your glutes even more. So why don't we do this? I already set this up. I put the handles together. I'm using a heavy, heavy, heavy band. And what I did was, you could tell that I put just a little, what we call a water knot, or an overhand knot in there, to make it really tense and tight. So what I'll do now is, that's the center. So I'm just going to turn sideways. I'm going to put this down on the floor, and I'm going to step right on, just on the outside of that knot. And then I'm going to open up a little bit. And I'm standing on that, and there's a lot of tension in this cable. Yeah? Chest up, shoulders back. I'm going to bring, I can either keep them at my side, but I'm going to bring them in front so I can find my knees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my butt back, lean forward. Notice my arms are straight up and down now. They clear my knees, and from there, all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit my butt down more until I get to about mid-shin. And then from here, stand up. Up, drive my hips forward, shoulders back, stomach in. Down, so I'm leaning forward a little bit more than I would in my squat. And then come back up. All the way down, and then come back up. Always maintain that spine, so don't ever round. Don't round your spine, that's very dangerous. Keep your spine straight, and you can really feel this in your glutes, yeah? So you can do the same thing. That was hip width, so I can open up wider. Shoulder width, that just adds a little more. Same thing, knees still have to line up with your toes. Squatting down, standing up. Big squeeze of my glutes.
And then if I have the ability, I can walk it all the way out, really stretch that out into my sumo. And then what I'm going to do is I have to bring these to the center at the same time, keep my chest up. So now the arms have to come forward a little bit, and the knees have to go way out. Down, and then up. Down, and then up. Okay? So that's your deadlift. So again, the difference between a deadlift and a squat is, if you think of this as your back, in a squat, your spine is going to go from standing straight up to down to a slight angle. In a deadlift, you're going to go from standing up straight down to more of an angle, leaning forward. And what you're going to use, again, is I would just use your arms parallel or straight up and down so that they clear your knees. Clearing your knees means they're in front of your knees, not out here. They just come in front of your knees. So that arm is straight up and down. And for me to get there, I have to lean forward and stick my butt back. So one more thing. You always, whether it's squats, lunges, deadlifts, anything where you're bending your knees, you always want your butt to go back. You don't want your knees to go forward. So whether you're doing a squat or a deadlift or a lunge, don't let, I'm going to hike my pants up a little bit, hang on. Okay? You don't want your knees to go forward like this. This is not good. It puts a lot of pressure on your knees. You want your butt to go back. So it's just like sitting in a chair. Think, sit back into the chair, right? You wouldn't, if the chair was there, you wouldn't do this. Sitting to the chair and then fall backwards, right? So stick your butt back. This keeps the knee closer to being over the heel. It keeps the weight in the heel. It protects the knees. So again, that's whether you're squatting, deadlifting, lunging, anything like that, that's what you want to do. Okay, so now let's get into a couple other little things. So now, we had shown you this the other day, right? So I'll get a little closer just for now. So this is just a closed loop of tubing, and you can get them in different gauges. This is probably a medium gauge, right? And then they have these, on each side they have these little cuffs that go around. You can actually put them around your wrists if you want, but they're designed mainly for your ankles, yeah? So all I do, right, is bring it around and put it around my ankle. I know you can't see that. There it is right there, okay? And I'm going to show you three different exercises that you can do with this. So the first one is, I'm going to open this up and put the other one, let me do this actually. I'm going to flip it around so it's on the outside of my ankle. And then I'll step in here and do it on this side. Hey, did you guys notice that I got a haircut? I did. Why didn't you say anything? You should be sending little messages right now going, dude, I love your haircut, or why'd you get your haircut so short? So I'm going to hop back for a minute. Okay, so notice how I have this set up, yeah? It's around the outside of my ankles, nice and secure. And so now we can do a couple different things. So usually a lot of times what we want to do is, this is for working, again, the glutes, the adductors, or excuse me, the abductors, the abductors, which is your glute medius, and then the outside of the legs, the outside of the thighs. So you see this a lot in therapy, but it's really great for your legs. So you kind of just start with your feet about a little wider than hip width apart, and with a slight bend in your knees, keep your posture, hands on your hips, and you step out and in, out and in, out and in. So it's actually working the outside of the leg, and this is controlling with the inside of the leg. Outside of the leg works, inside of the leg works. So you don't bring your feet all the way together so it's completely relaxed, right? You keep tension in there. So you squat down almost like into a shortstop, if you follow baseball. This athletic position, we also call it that shortstop position. So the knees are open, right? And then you can keep your hands here if you want. You can keep on your head or on your hips. Keep your chest up. Don't be falling over like this. Foot in a little bit and then back out. So you're always keeping good tension in that. And you'll really feel this in inner outer thighs, and you'll feel it in your butt, yeah? And you can walk all the way across and then shift back. Or you can just stay here and do this. If you have very little room in your house, nothing wrong with that. If you want to get more creative, you can squat down, stand up, squat down, stand up, squat down, stand up. This is huge. I really feel this. This is burning, right? Very nice. Remember, knees line up with the second toe. So that's a great way to do that. You can also, in a standing position, I kind of just call this the Jane Fonda, right? So from here, you can just stand and Extend that leg. Extend that leg. You're going to really feel it in your glutes on this side and your glutes on your stabilizer. And you can hold on to something, extend it out. Extend out. Extend out. So Jane Fonda, you know, she did it on the floor, and you do your leg lifts on the floor, which you can perfectly do. You can lay on a mat, just like if you were laying down on the ground, and just lift that leg. Lift that leg. Lift that leg. You can turn your toe up, and now you're working more of the front of the leg and the quad and driving it. You can turn your heel or toe all the way in and kick it way back. So this is actually, if we turn completely sideways, bring this leg forward, we can, this is working all butt right here. That's all, look at that. That's all butt right there, guys. You can bounce a quarter off of that. Proud of my butt. I don't know, that might sound weird, but everybody has to have a good butt, whether you're a guy or a girl. And I know you understand that, right? Having a good butt is really important. A good, strong, firm butt. So this is working with the legs straight, kicking straight back. That's all glute right there. That's really awesome, drawing your stomach in. Now, if you then want to work the hamstring, the back of the leg, all you got to do is curl the leg up and bring it back. Curl the leg up and bring it back. So that leg curl. Now you could always attach this end to like a post if you wanted to, but this is plenty good right here. Curl it up, get that big squeeze and back. So that's working the back of my leg now. Yeah? And then you would switch to the other side, step out, bring it back, curl it up. Oops, I'm all tangled in my tubing. Bring it back. Curl it up. I'm feeling that right in the back of my hamstring right here. Curl it up and back. Curl it up and back. And then, to work the front of the leg, here, it's the exact opposite. You can, again, you can secure these to a post that's down low, or just use your leg. Bring it out, bend your knee, extend like you're kicking a ball. Extend. So now I'm working the top, the quads, right up here. And that's a big burn. Even with just this band, that's a big burn. That's a big burn, right? Do 10 or 12, 15. Push it out. Get that big squeeze. You'll feel it right through here. There's no denying what's going on. Hold on to a door frame. Hold on to your bedpost. Hold on to your husband or wife if she'll stand still long enough. Don't hold on to your dog. They always walk away. I know they're our best friends, but they never stay for our workouts. Okay? So, we've done squats for your glutes and your hamstrings and your quads, and they even work your calves. We've done deadlifts. Remember deadlifts? You're coming forward, sticking your butt back until your hands clear the front of your knees, and then you keep bending down from your knees. But notice I never round my back. My back stays perfectly in this position the whole time. Then we did your walk, tube walking, yeah? And then we did your hip, these are called hip extensions. You're extending your hip back with the leg straight. This is hitting the glutes big time. And then you immediately go into your leg curls, which is now hitting your hamstrings. And then you turn and you go right into your leg extensions, which is working the quad, the front of the legs. So all of that is incredible for your legs. And even in just that little bit that we just did, my legs are actually already starting to burn quite a bit. They're getting quite fatigued. So tubing is fantastic. And then if you want to do something for your calves, which you should, yeah, it's a little more challenging. But the whole idea is, I wouldn't even do calves. Trying to do calves with tubing is kind of dangerous. So instead, you can just use your body weight and have something that you can hold on to, and then dropping down and coming all the way up onto the ball of your foot. But what a lot of people do is, I'm turning my back to the camera, hope you don't mind. What a lot of people do when they do calf raises is they come up and they let their feet splay out. Notice how my feet are splaying to the side? When you do a calf raise, you should come straight up So most of the weight is on the big ball of my foot. Straight up. Don't let your feet splay out. And then what you can do is, if you want, is you can get a wood block or something that's stable. And then, can you see this? Yeah. So if you raise it up a little bit and you're standing on that, you can do it with 2 feet or 1 foot, doesn't matter. Yeah. And then that way it allows you to actually drop down a little bit more, and then you can get a little bit more out of it. A lot of times I'll do a single leg calf raise where I'm right here, I hook my other leg behind it, and I'm coming straight up. So now I'm making that foot do all, well, I'm about 164 pounds. It's not a lot, but it's enough. All the way up, big squeeze, and then back down. But again, make sure they're coming straight up. Make sure they're not splaying out to the side. Okay, so I'm coming in to say hi, guys. So that's plenty of a leg workout. And in general, depending on who you are, we have to speak generally, right? Because I don't know what your position is right now, your age, or what's going on physically with your body and that kind of stuff. I would tell you at least do each one of these workouts that I'm giving you. So there's 4 different ones. We've done 3 so far. Do them at least once a week. And then depending on your ability and your level, you could be doing 2 times a week. Yeah? So it really just depends on what, if you're starting off 1 time a week, go nice and light bands, get used to doing it, get your form and your posture down, because that's important. So remember, first and foremost, you must maintain proper posture, proper lineup, and then the form of the exercise. So how do you do the exercise now, maintaining good posture? And then finally, what we want to talk about is breathing and making sure you're breathing it correctly, but we're going to hold off and do that at another time. For now, I'd like you to work on posture and the exercises themselves. Always be safe with your tubing, right? Make sure it's fully secure with your grommet in the door frame, or if it's on a steady post, that's fine. Okay, keep your balance. Start working with this. Now we have one more exercise program for this week with the tubing, and that's going to be for shoulders. And that's going to be in 2 more days. Tomorrow, though, is unconditional joy. So again, I'm going to show you and tell all your friends to start sharing this more. It's really fun. I love seeing all those little hearts and thumbs up and whatever smiley faces and comments that you guys are leaving. Don't be afraid to leave little comments, because I love reading them. So we're going to unconditional joy is tomorrow, and I'm going to show you how I express unconditional joy during my workout. Okay? So I can't wait to share that with you. Let's see, is there anything else I want to talk about for now? Nope, I think that's it. Get your questions ahead of time. Send them to me if you can. If not, leave me a message. Or if you want to keep it private, send me a private Facebook message. Or you can send me a private email or a phone call if you go to the website, holistichealth-fitness.com. Go to the contact page. You'll find our stuff there. Okay? So until tomorrow with unconditional joy, remember something. I love your guts. Take care, guys. I'll see you very soon. Bye.